Welcome back, folks, to the Membership Machine Show. This is episode 119. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a great WordPress plugin. It's called Presto Player. It really helps you display video and use video in your membership website if you're using WordPress. We've got some extensive experience with this. We're going to be doing a detailed review and also looking at some of the competitor services so you have a full understanding what's out there. I've got my great co-host of the podcast with me, Kurt. Kurt, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the new listeners and viewers?
Can do, Jonathan. My name is Kurt von Ahnen. I own an agency called Mañana No Mas. We focus largely on membership and learning websites, and we work directly with the great folks at WP-Tonic.
And he's a trooper. He's broken one of his toes before he got onto the show, haven't you?
Yeah. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world. It's like, hey, it's just a toe, and then it's like, no, you used a toe more than you think.
He's taken a lot of painkillers. He has to take a few before he comes on the show anyway. But there we go. So, like I say, we're going to be doing an extensive review of Presto Player. I think when it comes to a membership website, apart from a couple other plugins, it's one of the most impressive plugins in our arsenal. So it should be a great show. But before we go into the meat and potatoes, we've got a message from one of our major sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
Hi there, e-commerce store owner. At Omnisend, we help more than 100,000 e-commerce customers just like you sell their products. We're an all-in-one email and SMS marketing platform that helps you reach your customers, grow your audience, and increase sales. In fact, our customers have seen incredible results with Omnisend, averaging $72 in revenue for every single dollar spent. And if you ever have a question, our award-winning customer support team is available 24/7 every single day. That's one of the reasons we have more than 6,000 glowing reviews and ratings all across the web. So get started with Omnisend today and start growing your business with better email and SMS marketing.
Coming back, folks, I want to point out we've got a fabulous, inexpensive resource. Actually, we offer it at half price, and that's an extensive course that shows you how to build a membership community website on WordPress utilizing the most up-to-date technology. You can get this course at a special price with 50% off and a load of other resources and special offers from our sponsors by going over to wp-tonic.com/deals, wp-tonic.com/deals, and you'll find all the goodies there, plus the massive discount for this course. So let's go straight into it, Kirk. So let's do an intro about Presto Player. So if you were trying to explain to somebody who booked a consultancy hour with you, and you were explaining all the fabulous technology that they should be using for WordPress, and then you attempted to describe what Presto Player was, how would you do it, Kurt?
It's kind of a throwback for me, Jonathan. I can remember way back building HTML websites and working with Dreamweaver and stuff. You would need some kind of a video player. You would need something that would frame the videos and stuff like that. And I don't think people in today's marketplace really remember that stuff. And so when I talk about Presto Player to a new client now, it's just, sure, you can embed video any way that you like. But if you want the view of the video to be consistent and you want some extra features that you can kind of aggregate as a creator, then you're going to want to use Presto Player as a shell around your videos.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that, and because it kind of puts your options when utilizing it with a subscription membership offering, when you're going to use a lot of video. And how would you explain how it works with bunny.net? Because that's when it gets even more exciting, doesn't it?
The bunny.net excitement to me comes, and I'm just going to say strictly to me from a budgetary standpoint. I have networked with a lot of creators in the space that have used other branded video hosting, and it seems like a deal when you sign up, but what's conspicuously missing from some of these pricing details is the bandwidth. It'll say how much storage or how many videos, but it doesn't say bandwidth. And there's certain providers where when you grow in popularity and your viewers view more video than that provider is willing to give you for your price, they kind of hit you with a surprise billing and say, oh, you've used so much over your bandwidth. And that's where bunny.net really shines. It really helps you manage your budget. It is super affordable, and from my perspective, performs really well on top of that.
Yeah, because all the pricing, when we look at the alternatives, they give storage limits, which seem quite high, but they don't publicize on their public-facing pricing pages the bandwidth limitations, and these cut in quite rapidly. And you can use bunny.net without Presto Player. It will give you iframe a code, and you can paste straight into most modern WordPress pages straight away. But combining it with Presto Player, the biggest advantage is that it will show up in the media library, your videos, and it's just so much easier if you've got all the videos showing up in your media library. And it's built to use bunny.net, and you can just utilize the API code, and the whole thing's pretty slick, isn't it? Would you agree with that?
You kind of caught me on a crossroads there, Jonathan. We have the experience in it working with WP-Tonic and putting some packages together. And yeah, when it's all set up, it is really slick. But I do run into a consistent issue onboarding new clients, especially with the bunny.net. And that is the first thing they see is the pricing, and they're completely confused because it talks about, 0.2 of a penny for this many terabytes and this and that. And it's almost, for some people, it's like shopping for hosting. A lot of people say, well, why would I pay $30 a month for hosting? I can get this other deal for $10 a month for hosting. And it's like, you're not reading the details. You have to know what those numbers are, what the bandwidth is, what the size of a video is in your LMS, those kinds of things. But when you really dig down, as you were communicating, bunny.net does seem to be the bargain on the market.
Yeah, it can be one third to 1/5 cheaper.
Yeah.
Well, 1/5 or 1/3 the cost of any of the leading other options out there, apart from another one that is similar. It hasn't got all that bunny.net has, but it's coming up. But it still works really great with Presto Player, and it's just a great combination. Now, so I've just kind of said, if you use Presto Player, the big thing is your videos are going to show up in the media library. But there's a number of other key features and benefits that you get by utilizing Presto Player. Because in this first half of the show, folks, we're going to concentrate on Presto Player, and in the second half of the show, we're going to be looking at the alternatives. So, what would I've listed some of the main features, and number one is playlists, video chapters, easy navigation, and Netflix experience. How would you explain that to the listeners and viewers, Kurt?
Well, similar to, so let's talk about the gorilla in the space, right? People say, well, why am I going to worry about Presto Player or bunny.net or whatever when I could just put stuff on YouTube? Because, YouTube will let you do chapters and time stamping and all of these things. So for people that work within this space or within these features, they might think, well, that's not a big deal. But remember, YouTube isn't private, and if you try to do an unlisted video in YouTube but sell that video through your platform, that's a breach of terms and conditions with YouTube, and you can lose your account. So understanding what's at play and why it's important is, I think, number one. Number two is Jonathan's absolutely right. Presto Player allows you a lot of freedom in your videos and how you show the content to people. It's got a focus mode where you have to have the tab open and the video visible in order for the video to play. It does the chapters or the time stamping that people are used to, so that you can kind of fast forward to certain parts of the video. That works out really good in e-learning situations. It just does a lot of really cool things. It can do email capture. That's one of my favorite ones. That's where if you're doing like a lead magnet situation, it has an overlay that says, if you want to play this video, input your email address, and you can customize the messaging or the button or whatever. But that then becomes your interactive lead magnet.
Does that integrate with something like our most favorite email and marketing automation service, which is Fluent CRM? Does it integrate with Fluent CRM? Do you know?
So what's interesting is it actually integrates directly with like Lifter LMS. So in one of our standard builds, that integration with Lifter LMS, and Lifter LMS integrates with Fluent CRM, that whole thing just glues itself together. So a student in Lifter LMS through the lead magnet becomes a contact or a user in Fluent CRM. But the people that make Presto Player also make Sure Triggers and Cart and things like that. And so most of the integrations or interactions with other tools that you'll see, it'll list using Sure Triggers as the tool to make automations happen. But of course, it interacts with other platforms as well, like Uncanny Automator and things like that.
All right. On to the next one. The other thing is, with what you said about YouTube, people say, well, you can have a private, you can make the video private. I just think I think YouTube's fantastic. I've put a lot of effort in trying to grow the WP-Tonic YouTube channel, and it has grown over the last 6 to 7 months considerably. And I've made a lot of videos, so I'm a real believer of YouTube, but I am not a believer in having your paid video course material on YouTube. I'm not a believer in that, because I think it really clouds and diminishes the value proposition. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%. I use YouTube extensively as well. I've got hundreds of videos on YouTube. So it's not a bash against YouTube to say that, we want to use Presto Player and bunny.net. It is a use case situation. Each use case online is completely independent of another, and different tools fit different circumstances.
Yeah, the right tool for the right time. Let's go on to another great feature, focus mode. Pauses videos and when they are not actively watched. But focus mode, maybe we start with focus mode. Try and explain that to the people.
From an e-learning perspective, it is a really valuable tool. So my background with a lot of my e-learning or curriculum development is from a mechanical standpoint. So how to take apart an engine or how to diagnose a vehicle, something like that. And what would happen most cases is technicians get assigned courses while they're working, right? They don't get paid for training. They get paid for the work that they get done. And so they'd have a laptop in their workstation, and the laptop's playing videos, but they're not watching the videos. They're off, wrenching on something, they're working on something. And then when the video ends, they just click next. And then they're hoping that they'll pass the test at the end, because they work in the field. They make a lot of assumptions that they already know stuff. That's not what you want. When you're someone that's creating an e-learning platform, especially with required viewing, you want to make sure that people are actually seeing the content. And so focus mode will pause the video if they open up another tab, if the video is not displayed on the screen, like if they page down or page up and the video goes off screen. it just pauses the video. So it kind of forces the student to have to be at least on the right tab with the video displayed in order for it to play.
Fantastic. Next one is the action bar. What does that do, and what do you think of that?
I don't use the action bar too much. Sometimes I think things can be a little overkill, especially, in a video player, especially if the video is smaller. But that action bar is an extra thing. So where you have the progress bar, like usually you have play, and then you see the progress go across the screen. It's right beneath that, and you can add elements to that action bar, like click this to go to this page after the video, or it takes an action with the user. So it adds more interactivity to just playing a video. But it's very rare cases that I actually use that feature.
All right. And obviously, we've touched on this NMS and membership integration.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about other plugins, and if you're not that au fait with the language of WordPress, just think these plugins as Lego bricks, and you can just click various Lego bricks to build something out bigger. And so use that. Obviously, that's very simplistic term that I've just used. But that's how I try and explain it to people. So it works with, like you just mentioned, Lifter LMS. So it works because Lifter has its own video add-on, but this Presto Player works quite well. And I think it works with the other leading two that we recommend, Learn Dash and Tutor LMS. I think all the main three that we recommend, it works really quite well. Would you agree with that?
More than agree, but again, this is one of those, people on the inside seem to know, people that are new would never figure it out things. Lifter LMS has a tool called Advanced Video, and in their own documentation, they say that Advanced Video will only work with YouTube, Vimeo, or Wistia. And what's interesting about Presto Player is that integration to use advanced videos actually comes from the Presto Player side of the pond. So if you have Presto Player and bunny.net, you basically lie to Lifter LMS and say you're using Vimeo, and then you get the advanced video features, which forces people to have to watch a video in its entirety before it unlocks the Mark Complete button. So that has to do with student tracking and getting your certificates and things like that.
Do you know if they're looking at adding bunny.net to the native video player add-on to Lifter LMS, by the way?
It's really not for me to speak for Lifter, but I don't think it would be. I don't think that's a thing. I don't think that's high on the list. They've got some work coming in the future and some really cool things, and some things that have been around for a little while that need a refresh, and things are getting refreshed, which is kind of exciting. But I don't think advanced videos is one of them.
Well, so that's another reason to get Presto Player, folks. Viewer tracking. What does Presto Player offer? I think this is a really important element that a number of our larger clients like, don't they?
Yeah, it again comes down to use case. If I was on Lifter LMS with advanced videos, my reporting would show my student progress. It would say, my student's done these lessons, they've seen these videos, blah, blah, blah. It's all right there. But Presto Player itself has an analytics feature where you can go in and it'll tell you specifically who has watched the video within a certain span of time, whether that be today, last week, last month, last fiscal quarter. You can see exactly who's seen which videos, how much of the video they've watched, and it actually gives you kind of like a little bar graph kind of thing, kind of like YouTube does with your analytics in YouTube. So you can kind of see, like, if this is a 10-minute video and most people watch 3 minutes and 41 seconds of it, it's kind of giving you that required feedback you need to adjust your content.
We've touched on about getting it to work with bunny.net. Obviously, it's in the eye of the beholder. If you're totally new to WordPress, totally new to online setups, everything's going to be a bit strange. But how difficult is it to get Presto Player to work with bunny.net?
So this doesn't exactly sound like a commercial for Presto Player, but in the last couple of times I've tried to make the connection between bunny.net and Presto Player, there's a field where you put in the license keys, and I put in the license keys, and then the screen would just kind of repeat itself. And people listening might go, "Oh, well, that's it. I'm not going to use that." But here's where Presto Player shined through. I simply just sent, a quick help request, and almost instantly it was fixed. Bada boom, bada bing, we were connected. The advantage of connecting Presto Player and Bunny.net is really pretty amazing how it works. For me, it's no big deal, but for my clients, it's a huge deal. So my clients don't have to go to Bunny.net and upload things to Bunny.net and then get embed codes and put them into Presto Player. Like, if you think about the way WordPress would usually work, there'd be multiple steps to something. If you're using Presto Player on your website and you're connected to Bunny.net, you literally just go through the back end of your own website, upload the video, put it where you want to put it using Presto Player, and Presto Player does all the heavy lifting and all the integration with Bunny.net and Bunny.net servers off-site, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. We've got some people joining us. Well, we've got one person. Thanks for that. He said hello to us. And pricing, I think it's really good, great value for what it offers, because the starter plan is $99, and then the Pro is the Pro. Do you get any? Is it just the number of websites you can use on it? Is that the only difference, or is there any, in functionality terms, any difference between the starter and the Pro?
I really think it's just the number of websites. I can't think of any other features that I would get or don't get. That's
what I thought, but I thought, because Kirk's been working with it a bit more than I have lately. So just to finish off, on the list of features, I just took the ones that I thought, but there's more features. Is there anything that you want to point out before we go for our break?
Yeah, I feel like I need to correct myself on that, because I just had, it was like as soon as you said that, I was like, wait a minute, I just had like a waterfall of information. With the Pro version is so it's any paid plan. So any paid plan gives you the Bunny.net integration, the sticky video player, and all those tools. So I think the only difference is the number of sites. So now I'm back to my original thought.
Right. So any feature that I didn't mention that you think we should add to the first half of the show, then, Kurt?
There's a cool thing that it does, and it's kind of silly, but when you are, let's say you're corporately employed, you work in a cubicle and you're surfing the web when you're supposed to be working, and then you click on something, and then instantly, what happens? Some video starts to play at full volume, and now you're busted. You're in the middle of this cubicle farm, and this video is at full volume, and you feel like an idiot. Creators have the option to do a muted autoplay on their video embeds, and so then it becomes kind of like when you're scrolling on X or scrolling on Facebook and the videos are silent until you click the volume. It has that feature, which I think is something a lot of people play with and use.
That's fantastic. I think got a good spot to have our middle break. We've got a couple of other messages from sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
Tired of hosting providers that can't handle high traffic loads? Conversio is here to help. Our platform can handle any amount of traffic, all without slowing down or crashing. With immediate Slack support, performance optimization, and a team that thrives on resolving technical challenges, your e-commerce business is in safe hands. Learn more about Conversio at conversio.com.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast 20. That's podcast 20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Coming back, folks, we've had a feast about Presto Player and Bunny.net and how it's fantastic and how it can save you a ton of money. It's all great stuff, folks. But before we go into the second half, where we look at some of the leading alternatives and competitors in this area, I just want to point out we've got a fantastic free resource for you, and that's the Membership Machine Show Facebook group. It's totally free to join. I try and post some content almost every day. I can't guarantee that I do it every day, but I get close to it. And also we've got a nice group of people that are WordPress experts and people like yourself, and it's totally free. So go to Facebook. Got any questions about anything in the shows? That's the best place to put your questions. And so go over and join us on the Membership Machine Show Facebook group. So let's look at the alternatives. If I say that, you can use these with Presto Player as well, can't you? I think you can use most of the ones that we're mentioning, not all of them, but most of them. If you want your videos to show up in the WordPress media library, which is really useful. We just concentrated on Bunny.net because it's not free Bunny.net, but it's like you can start off with $1, $5, and you really got to burn through a lot of bandwidth to get anywhere. Like normally, like I say, it's 1/3 to 1/5 the cost of some of the alternatives we're going to discuss here. And we're starting off with YouTube, and I think it's best just to recap what we said about it in the first half. Its big attraction is it's free. I think as a way of marketing your membership website and marketing yourself as an expert in the particular niche that you should be trying to build your business in, it's fabulous. But like I say, using it for video that you're going to be utilizing for a paid course, I don't think that's a great idea. So just recap your thoughts, Kurt.
Yeah, YouTube has a couple of reasons why I use it and a couple of reasons why I definitely don't. And it depends on your type of client and use case and other situations too. You have to remember YouTube is directly connected to Google and subject to all of Google's fancies. So if you're talking about a topic they don't like, your account can disappear. Your account can be demonetized. There's all these things that can happen. And so, to Jonathan's point, if you are in a mainstream topic and you're using them for SEO and for visibility and for marketing, it's a wonderful tool for that because it is like the second arm of Google. So that part's fantastic. But if you're trying to leverage hidden or unlisted or private videos as paid content somewhere else, you're going to get yourself in Google's crosshairs sooner or later. And then if you're using any kind of content that is that's something that you would second guess sharing on Google, then you definitely don't want to be in YouTube space.
On to one of the main suppliers of video hosting that kind of created the market in a way with these marketing tools where you can, in the middle of the video, have a pop-up asking for their email address, which doesn't really apply if you're using it for subscription. But if you're using it on a general website, it's really useful, and it provided some marketing tools. Is Whistler? Am I pronouncing it? Pardon?
Wistia.
I always struggle with this. Wistia. It starts. So what's your thoughts about them? And if somebody was asking your opinion about using them, What would you say?
It sounds harsh. I don't mean it to sound harsh, but there are most of the clients that I have in the creator space. It really does come down to budgets and, you know, return on investment, right? What they get for their money. And so between Wistia and Vimeo, most will go to Vimeo because on the surface it does appear to be more affordable. The clients that I do have on Wistia, I will say, have never had an issue, a problem. The user interface seems to be direct. They don't seem to get confused or lost. From those perspectives, I think Wistia is a really kind of like superior top shelf product.
Yeah, I think if you do any online research, that they are seen as a 5-star platform, and I think I haven't done a full review of what's been said about them, but when the last time I did it was, which was probably over 18 months ago, folks, they got a lot of 5-star reviews, and they seem legit, and they've always prided themselves on their, and I don't think they've sold out. I think it's the original founders are still part of the business, I think. They used to offer a really good free product, but they got that. And it starts at $89, and then the advance is $399. And it's I'm trying to struggle for the see if I don't think they provide, and they might have done. No, I don't think they provide any storage and that. But I think it gets expensive quite quickly. But it's a quality product. And I kind of started the wrong way. I must have confused because Vimeo's before, but I jumped. The next one, which is a lot of people look at this one. They look at YouTube and then they look at this one, and it's Vimeo. It's a Dutch company, I think. It's based in Holland. Like they start a plan that starts at $20, and you get about 100 gigabyte of storage, but it's the bandwidth. You rapidly, by my research, end up in the standard or the advanced quite quickly. If you've got any traffic or any growth in your subscriptions, you rapidly end up in the standard and advanced. What's your views on Vimeo?
I have two things with Vimeo. One is with this pricing example, and maybe they've changed things in the last few months, but as of just a few months ago, I've had clients get like surprise billing. It's not like, hey, here's your warning. If this continues for 45 days, your price is going to go up. It's like, here's your invoice. You've already spent this, hundreds of dollars. And it usually comes as a surprise to the creator. They're not aware that they've come up against some kind of video limit or something. So the way that they do the billing, I kind of have issue with, because my creators kind of they feel like they've been knocked around from it. I get it, because we do hosting and stuff like that. We understand what it's like to talk about bandwidth and usage, but it's the way you communicate it to the client, and I think a lot of people get surprised. The other ding I have with Vimeo is there is something about their user experience that confuses the wheels off of new users. More times than not, because the client really, in my situation, is usually responsible for getting their video hosted somewhere, giving us access to it, so then we can embed it into whatever the website is we're building. And more times than not, they've done something in the security settings where the video won't play on the website, and you got to go in and make changes and alterations and modifications to the way the creator set up their Vimeo account. So there's something in that user experience.
Definitely, you're spot on. As far as I'm concerned, but I haven't used their service for a while. Well, on another website but I haven't logged into their account for a while.
Yeah, well, like you can white label certain URLs and things like that, which for some reason the creator takes as, oh, I can secure my videos and they'll only play on the website I embed to. But what they don't realize is that if they don't white label that URL, even though it's their URL, that video is still ain't going to play. So it's just confusing.
It's like using Google storage, isn't it, compared to Dropbox?
You share a document and then it says you have to ask permission to see it.
Yeah, it's just a mess, isn't it, compared to Dropbox? It's just that's why I still keep my Dropbox account. I've got a grandfathered one. It costs me about $100 a year. I think they've improved Google, but on the other hand, I don't really want to depend on Google that much anyway, because you don't get any customer support from any Google products. So good luck to you. They're trying to get any real support from those people. They're so desperate for the money, aren't they? So the sarcasm comes out, doesn't it? On to something, I think there's a jetpack, something that causes, comes from Automatic. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to explain Automatic to people anymore. So it's kind of linked to WordPress, folks. Automatic is owned by one of the founders of WordPress, but it really is a kind of private company entity. Well, it is, not kind of. And they have a product called Video Press. I don't know much about their offering in the. It was another one of these Automatic side products that was there, but it was really, to me, it was aimed really at the corporate market to some degree. And I don't know much about it. They seem to be pitching it more at the Vimeo. It's $10 starts off with, but I don't know what the bandwidth. It's the bandwidth that matters, folks, and none of them. You have to do a bit of a dive in their help documents, and then it's really buried. But 10 gigabytes for $10, but I don't know what the bandwidth, and I've got no experience with them. Do you know anything through what people have said and what you've observed, really, Kurt?
Oh,
is that bad?
I had a client that tried to use them, got frustrated, bailed, and went to a product called Adillo, which isn't one of the ones that we're talking about today. The strangest thing about Video Press was I went there and I looked and I was looking at the website and I was trying to familiarize myself for the show. And I thought to myself, wow, what a horrible website. Just like the titles over half the video, the white space isn't. I was like, this is a really poor, this is not a good marketing website. And then I got down to the bottom and it said made for WordPress and automatic premiere. And I thought, oh my goodness, the people in charge of WordPress have an atrocious marketing website. Well,
they aren't.
Yeah, it all just came full circle to me, and I was like, well, I guess I'm glad I'm not using it. I know that sounds harsh. It sounds harsh, but it's like
harsher than me. Normally, you're much more different than I am.
If you go to the site and you actually page all the way through the site and you try and go through it, you're like, this, I couldn't make this website and deliver it to a client. You know what I mean? So if that's their effort to get our business, I don't even know how the product would work.
Yeah.
I sound mean, but that's just my take.
Well, it's like a lot of it's Automatic in some ways in the WordPress platform. A lot of they've got a similar disease as what Google have got with their secondary products. It's always a little bit half-hearted. It's a bit like their learning. I forgot the name of it. Their own learning management system. What's it called?
Is that LearnPress?
No,
No.
forgot the name of it. It will come.
WP.
No, it begins with S. Sasani or something. Sensei. They were really pushing that for a while, weren't they? And then it's died down again, hasn't it? It's not pushed at all, is it?
Mm-mm.
And that's like a lot of their products, isn't it? On to another one called Spotlighter. It used to be called Voodoo Player when it first hit the market, and I bought a lifetime deal with them for my own website. I do use it on the WP-Tonic website for some of the videos. And they were offering lifetime deals, and they also are offering a white label product. And I was thinking, and then just before I was going to pull the gun and maybe use it as part of the offering for WP-Tonic, they had a bust up, the founders, and they got into a bit of financial trouble, and they got a bit too happy with lifetime deals, and it got renamed, and they got rid of the white label product. And it works really well, and but the light, you can only, their light starts with $15 a month, but only 25 videos. The next one up is, I think, plus 25. They've got a lot of different plans, put it that way. But I've been happy with it. But I've got one of their legacy plans. And I think they've struggled because of the debacle and the renaming, but they kept in it. And I think I think if you're not looking at Presto Player with Bunny, it probably is it's one of the more legitimate competitors to Vimeo really out there. But I don't know, what's your attitude and what have you heard? And
so, like yourself, I was a user of Voodoo a while ago.
The Voodoo.
To be honest, the Spotlighter, and this is going to make me sound very, very surface like I don't go deep enough sometimes, but like their website's nice. It's modern. Their player is nice and modern. Like when you look at the samples that they have for like, hey, this is what you can do with the player. It seems modern, like the look, the interface, the user experience. And you've got other options to change things. Like if you want to increase the radius, or if you want to fade the edges, or if you want to, change the colors of the controls or the icon styles of the controls, you have like a real control over the look and appearance of what Spotlighter offers. And from that standpoint, as a creator, as someone that works in the WordPress space where everybody's hooked on, customization and modification, I really like the product from that standpoint.
What about the back end? Have you looked into it any time recently? Is it a better back end experience than Vimeo?
I think it's better than Vimeo.
Yeah.
I don't think people use it and walk away confused, not knowing what they did. And I'm going to be, I know that we were really gung-ho on the Presto Player thing at the beginning of the show, but I do need to say a lot of the features to Presto Player, they seem kind of hidden beneath a layer inside WordPress. Like you have to kind of go to like where the player defaults are, and then there's this little button at the bottom that says add new default or something like that, or add new condition. And then when you do that, it opens up a whole new window with features, right? So I think in that regard, I think Spotlighters can seem a little more direct in its usage, but I think Presto Player has better, more actionable options for the creator.
Yeah. I've got to say, they when they were having a bit of a breakup, the founders, and they honoured their lifetime deal. I thought because there's been other people that have offered lifetime deals and then they've ditched the commitment. and they've cancelled it, and but no, they've honoured their lifetime deal with me. So I'll give them kudos that. I think it is one of the more credible alternatives that you should really look at if you're committed not to use WordPress.
Well, I want to
on.
go one step further, and that is when you host your videos on these platforms, you put the video up, and then there always seems to be that encoding, transcoding,
Quick with them, isn't it?
Getting ready. Yeah. And when you work with Spotlighter, it seems to happen pretty quickly.
Snappy.
Bunny.net can take some time on that one. And the one that I mentioned that I use, Adillo, forget it. I might as well go make a pot of coffee and take the dog for a walk. I mean, it takes forever for the process to happen.
It's snappy with them.
Yeah. And so in those regards, I think it performs really well. And for the value they asked for, it's, I hate to say it's the bargain, but it works really well.
Yeah, I think, yeah, last one is Cloudflare. They've got this stream. We love Cloudflare. I'm not saying they're saints, they're not a perfect company. But when it comes to buying, it's not got the easiest interface, and their documentation and their public-facing websites of subpages, they are not aimed at the general user. The language they use, it's totally aimed at the web professional, and even then, I have to put some of their sentences into AI to get AI to explain what they're trying to explain to me. Yeah, they're not great marketers, put it that way, but they're aiming their stuff at the web professional. But they're free products. I love their registration of domains. You're not nickeled and dimed like Namecheap or Big Daddy, GoDaddy, where they nickel and dime you, and it's just a fair price. Their domain hosting, their free security product, and they're offering this Cloudflare stream. And I know there's a few. I don't think in any way it still can compete with what Bunny.net is, but I keep looking at it because they don't, unlike Google, they normally don't give up on the product, and they slowly improve it, don't they?
Yeah, I'll agree with you to that extent, but I'm also going to back you up on what you said the first round, and that was getting lost in Cloudflare. I get lost in Cloudflare, and I'm supposed to be the consummate professional that leads people too. And if I have a hard time figuring that out, it's really hard for me to explain it to clients. And so it hasn't won me over yet. When the button to get more information says read the product brief, that me right there just says I'm in over my head. I don't, a year ago, you and I reviewed like video webinar hosting things, and we came up with Whereby and Jitsi and all those things. And I thought Whereby is a great product, but it's the same thing as Cloudflare. You get in there and you think, oh, it's awesome, it's a great deal. And then you get in, and then if you're like me, you go, I don't know what the heck I'm doing in here.
Oh, you were gun-ho for them, big ones.
I still use Whereby. I mean, I use it from a very basic perspective, but you can do, it's made for developers. They have a whole sidebar in their website that's just like API this, code that, do this automation, integrate with this and the other thing, take this code and put it here and do amazing things. And it's, I can't even wrap my head around what an amazing thing is. So it's like, no. And that's the way I'm with this Cloudflare thing. It's like, read the product brief, and I go, well, that's already too deep for me. And then I got to try and figure it out, The Cloudflare stuff that I use usually comes packaged on some kind of hosting or something. And in those regards, I think the products are great, but it's like using one of these AI for the
it's like using there's some hosting like Cloudways. People, I would never recommend Cloudways for average user. It's just not designed. Still isn't, even though it got bought up by DigitalOcean. It's aimed at a web quasi-professional. I would never recommend them. And then you also got the, obviously I did a review, and the problem I've always had with Cloudways is that their headquarters, I know it's probably changed a lot, but I think they still have a large team, and they're based in Pakistan. And he's got a furry friend joining us. He's got his little toy. All right. I wasn't talking about Kirk there, actually. So I was talking about his dog. What's the name of the dog?
Remy.
Remy. I was talking about Remy, my beloved. You have to watch the video, folks, if you're just listening to the podcast. So I went on a bit of a rant there about Cloudways. God knows. God knows why I went down there. But it's definitely not aimed at the mere mortal. So, to recap, I would say if you're looking at WordPress to build your membership, your community website, and you're committed to building a real business, I think investing in Presto Player and then looking at bunny.net is well worth the investment and effort. I think, especially when there's a certain web boutique provider that provides Presto Player and that will configure bunny.net for you. Who would that be? I would not know. But if you've not got that particular hosting provider, I still think it's worth the investment. Now, if you're not building on WordPress or you're not going to be a real heavy user, I think of the two, I think it's either Vimeo or it's Spotlighter. I would go with Spotlighter, really, for the smaller course or the occasional user of video that don't want those videos to be available on YouTube. I think it offers good value and it's got a good interface. What's your own thoughts to?
I am a sucker for a lifetime deal, so I need to give that full disclosure. So my video hosting choice personally is different than this list because I signed up for a lifetime deal. That said,
who was that? Who's that with him?
I'm with Adillo, and like I said, waiting for a video to process on that site takes some time. But that's that's what I signed up with at the time, and I kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
If I was new to the game, getting involved, the Presto Player with bunny.net to me, and I talk about it on more than this show. I've talked about it with Lifter LMS Lives. I've talked about it with. I think it's a winning combination. I really do.
And we're not being sponsored by him.
No. Hey, Adam, watch this episode and throw us a check. It's a really good setup. Like, it's just when we do these shows, Jonathan, I keep thinking it's not for us. It's not for me. It's not for you. It's like we have to communicate this to users, to creators, to people who want to focus on what they know, but not necessarily want to be web developers for their life. They want to run their business. And so from that perspective, bunny.net and Presto Player is a winning combination. If for some reason I didn't want to go that path, it would be Spotlighter out of that list.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a clear leader for if you're not going to use Presto Player with Bunny, it's the next one. And for the right person, it's probably the first one to look at.
Yeah.
And don't get me, most of the ones we've talked about here are okay. Fun enough, the one that I would probably not recommend on this list is VideoPress. I wouldn't recommend them. I probably wouldn't recommend for the time being Cloudflare Stream, but that's more to do with the setup and the documentation more than the service. So
I think
Well,
the best service that we've mentioned today is probably Wistia, just to be
yeah,
honest and transparent.
yeah.
The best. So if you're one of these people where budget's not the thing, and you're like, I just want the best, well then get Wistia, and you'll probably never have a complaint. You'll be happy. It's just it is top shelf, and I've never had a client have a problem with Wistia. I've never had a problem with Wistia. It seems very reliable, but it's the most expensive one we've talked about today.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to use them, I would actually give you a little tip here. If you're going to use them, I just go and use them with Kajabi, the basic plan, for $150, because all your videos are going to be hosted. And I don't think they have much bigger bandwidth limits with Kajabi. And they're the people that's providing a white labeled service for Kajabi. Kajabi doesn't host it's them that are hosting the videos for Kajabi. And I think you get bigger bandwidth usage with Kajabi, actually. So I thought I'd just give you a tip there, folks, because on the problem with Kajabi is that their lowest plan is quite restricted. So you really got to go to the basic plan, their Kickstarter plan. So you're looking at the basic plan, which is about $149. But if you look at Whistler, it starts at $90. Yeah. So what's the best way for people to find out more about you, your thoughts on what you're up to, Kurt?
Our website is Mañana No Mas, and that's everything business and blog posts and information. Everything's on Mañana No Mas. But if you want to reach out personally, make a connection, LinkedIn. I'm still on LinkedIn almost every day, Jonathan, and I'm the only Kurt Von Ahnen there, which means if you found me, you got me.
That's great. And if you want to support the show, why don't you look at subscribing to the WP-Tonic YouTube channel? You can watch if you're listening to this through the podcast, the reason why you should sign for there is that I produce a ton of content every week, every month, about building a successful membership subscription website on that YouTube channel. I must publish about 30 to 40 with videos per month on that channel, and it's all available for free. So it's a fantastic resource. And if you subscribe, that really shows your support for this podcast and for what value we provide. We will be back next week with another hopefully insightful and useful video that will enable you to build a great membership community. We'll see you soon. Bye.